Hey friends, this is Jordan with O&Co Games. Sometimes the biggest difference between a mediocre platformer and a great one is just how alive it feels. For example, look at the latest Golden Boy Metroidvania, Ultros. Holy moly, does this game feel alive. When I first played the demo during Next Fest, I had to scoop all my teeth off the floor because of how violently my jaw dropped. It's visually incredible and everything just feels so alive. Contrast that with games like Undertale and there's a clear difference between how immersive each game feels. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love Undertale and I know that its minimalistic approach to art is part of its charm, but I can't help but feel like that game is more of an exception to the rules than a standard. In general, games that feel alive feel better to play. So for my team's pixel platformer Tethergeist, we've known from the very beginning that we had a lot of work to do to bring this world to life. In past devlogs, I've talked about procedurally generated artwork, particles, night lighting effects, and character animations. All of these things are working together to bring the game to life, but we don't want to stop there. For a truly lifelike environment in our game, we need animals. So the first animal I want to talk about is this adorable little gator squirrel. We are obviously taking a bit of inspiration from Avatar: The Last Airbender here by mashing two animals together. I'm not sure how Noah did it, but he managed to take the ugly head of an alligator and blend it perfectly with a squirrel for maximum cuteness. He sent me over several different animation sprites of varying states for the gator squirrel. Things like scratching its head, looking around, running, and jumping. Using his sprites as the foundation, I made a gator squirrel object that, if undisturbed, will randomly hop around and scratch its head. When the player gets close though, they jump in surprise. I feel like little things like this add up to really make the world feel alive. The next animal on the list is this majestic deer thing. I'm not totally sure what all of the inspiration is behind this, but I love that its head looks like a shepherding dog. This animal is a lot more rare in the game and was honestly a lot easier to code. Using the sprites Noah sent me, I coded the deer to spend most of its time munching on grass, only looking up very occasionally. When the player gets close enough, it runs off. Maybe we'll have some sort of Easter egg for players who manage to catch one of these, but for now, they're just there for looks. Another animal that we've added to the game is this sneaky little rock critter. At a first glance, they just look like regular rocks, but when the player gets close, they get a little grumpy and scuttle around. With these ones, I coded them so they'll never go too far from their point of origin. So no matter how much the player tries to bully them, no, they'll never walk off a cliff. Similar to the rock critters, we also added these little elephant snails called snoots. The main character, May, lives in the mountains, and these little guys are raised by her people. As part of our love for world building, we wanted May's village to have side stories and cultures happening subtly outside of the main story and gameplay. Snoots are cared for like chickens, and they lay large batches of slimy eggs, like fish. They're docile and domesticated, so we wanted them to behave like they felt comfortable around the people in May's town. Noah set out some expectations he had for how he wanted them to behave, and I coded them according to his vision for them. They're sleepy things, so I made them spend a good amount of time hidden in their little shells. But when the player gets close, they wake up and wander around, as if hoping she'll give them some food or attention. The baby ones are more active and tend to wander quite a bit. Just like the rock critters though, they're coded to never walk too far away from their origin point, so no, you can't bully these guys into walking off of cliffs either. Another set of domesticated creatures in May's hometown are the bees. Her people tend to these beehives, and these little white bees buzz around them. We are calling them salt bees, so naturally we kind of picture them providing a resource like salt for the village. Now, knowing that we were going to have several bees buzzing around each hive, I wanted to be sure we had optimized them to not take up tons of processing power. Some particles, like the ones in the smoke, are individual objects that look for collisions with the player to inform them how to behave. While that's a fun little touch, it's not a great way to optimize game performance. So for the salt bees, we did something different and used GameMaker's particle system to achieve the behavior we were looking for. Using dynamic opacities, the bees slowly fade in and out of view. They're configured to move in sporadic ways around the hive without venturing too far away from the nest. With the particle system made, all we had to do was plop them on top of the hives in the room editor, and just like that, we've got thriving little communities of salt bees. Another insect we wanted to include is the firefly. Since a large portion of Chapter 1 happens at night, we felt that these fireflies would really help to bring the nighttime to life, as well as make our environment just feel more magical. Noah sent me a sprite of this little square that has a glowing pulse about it. We again turned to GameMaker's particle system, and using the glowy sprite, we set up a particle system that behaves in a slower and more deliberate way to mimic the lazy, floaty feel of fireflies. Just like the salt bees, we dropped particle emitters in the room editor where we wanted the fireflies to go. I think these little guys really add to the whimsical feel we're aiming for here. Now, there's one last animal that I should probably mention here, even though it's been in the game for quite some time. We also added birds quite a while back. They fly away when the player gets close, and while they're not terribly new, I wanted to make sure they felt included in this video that's all about animals. So anyway, that about catches you up to all of the animals we've made just for chapter 1 of our game. We intend for each chapter to have its own distinct environment, so we've got plenty of other critters to make in the future. Outside of animals, we've made a ton of progress on a bunch of random other things. We've radically improved cutscenes, adjusted staging issues, added animations of our characters talking during dialogue, adjusted the rejoin animation, implemented music and fading logic, and fixed tons of bugs reported by everyone on Discord. Thank you so much again for the deep dive on that, guys. All of that stuff has taken a significant amount of time, but honestly, they're not the most exciting things to share in a devlog, so I decided to speedrun them in the last 30 seconds of this video. With all of that said, we're continuing to make great progress on Tethergeist, and we have plenty more to share with you. If you'd like to stay in the loop, please subscribe, wishlist Tethergeist on Steam, and join our Discord server. All of the links you'll need are in the description below. This is our passion project, and we're doing everything in our power to make this the best platformer it can be. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.